Hi, welcome to Take a Break, Take a Breath for Wednesday, February 3rd. I'm Rick Boyer, the pastor of Prospect Presbyterian Church in Maplewood, New Jersey. And Take a Break, Take a Breath is an invitation for you to pause in your day, to breathe, and to allow things to settle for just a little bit, to center yourself in God who made you and loves you and calls you by name. Each time we come together, I've been talking about a different psalm, and we're reading in order through those psalms. We're up to Psalm 132. Psalm 132 is one of the songs of ascent that it is said the people sang as they made their way on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. It is a psalm, it is the longest of those songs, and perhaps that expresses its importance, some suggest. And the importance there is it makes the case for why it's important to go to Jerusalem in those days. It was the place of David's throne. It was the footstool of God. It was the place where people went to meet God in the temple. And so it is focused around all of that imagery, and yet the psalm probably came together in the time after the exile, when the temple is destroyed. And it speaks, therefore, metaphorically about desiring God's presence, about wanting a Messiah, and wanting that Messiah to be among them. One thing you can do is look back at Samuel 7. I think it's 1 Samuel 7. The story of taking the ark, probably be 2 Samuel 7, taking the ark of God up to Jerusalem. It's a story from David's life, and David is taking the ark, and he dances, and all of the excitement and making that journey from the place where the ark had been up to Jerusalem, and all of the excitement and wanting to build God a house. And then, of course, the word that no, David can't build the house, and so Solomon builds it for him. Christians tend to read this psalm in light of Christ. We tend to read it on a Sunday that is called the Reign of Christ, when we celebrate the reign of Jesus, Jesus the Christ over all the world, of Christ over all the world. And we see it as God coming to dwell among us, and we read it in all of those ways. The verse that I chose for the focus is, "O Lord, remember in David's favor all the hardships he endured," all the struggles he endured. And then, of course, that causes us to think about all of the struggles that Jesus endured, and the price he paid to demonstrate God's love to us. So if you haven't already done so, I invite you to find a place in your house that is quiet, and close the door, and settle into a chair, and feel the strength and support of that chair. Feel it on the back of your legs. Feel the support on your back, and if the chair has arms, under your arms. And to take some nice, deep breaths. And as you breathe in the breath of God. And as you breathe out all that separates you from God. Breathe in the breath of life, and breathe out all that does not give you life. Breathe in God's peace. Breathe out all of your worries and fears and anxieties. And as you continue to breathe deeply, imagine that, because the peace of God is spreading in your body. That with each breath, God's peace moves further and further in your body. And maybe you imagine it like water from a shower falling down over you. When the water hits your head, when the peace of God comes to your head, your mind is calmed. And all of the busyness of the day is settled for a while. And as the peace of God comes to your face, it brings a smile, maybe, and relaxes your jaw. And as the peace of God moves into your neck, it unravels or unties all of the knots in your neck and works them out, and the tensions that are there are released. As it moves to your shoulders, your shoulder muscles relax. If they've been hunched up, your shoulders, they drop. And it moves down your arms, and the muscles in your arms and forearms relax, and your hands open up and maybe turn palms up to receive God's grace and love. As the peace of God comes to your chest, your breathing is calm and deep and steady, and your heart rate is a resting pace. As it comes to your stomach, if your stomach has been jittery or you've had some indigestion, all of that is calmed. And as the peace of God comes to your back, the warmth and peace of God on your back relaxes the muscles, and it feels good. And the tensions that are in your back are released. As it comes to your hips and your thighs and your calves and your feet, everything relaxes. You are in the presence of God's peace, and God is with you. Keeping your eyes closed, imagine that your interior life is like a house. And each room is a different part of your life. There's a room for work, a room for, I don't know, for each child you have or for each parent you have. A room for recreation. And there's a room for meeting God. It's a room with doors on both ends, and you come in one end. Since it's a room for meeting God, there's two chairs. And maybe it's with Jesus that you usually meet. What's the condition of that room like as you look around? What do you see in that room besides the two chairs? You sit down in one of the chairs and wait. You know that Jesus will come to meet you. The door at the other end opens, and in he walks. He smiles and looks you in the eye. And comes and sits in the other chair. Reaches over and pats your arm. Says, "How's it going?" The two of you are going to have a conversation now, and I'm going to be quiet. then the time for the conversation to end comes. The two of you say goodbye in whatever way is appropriate, but you're reminded as Jesus leaves that you can come back to this room whenever you want, anytime. And Jesus will always meet you there. And with that, he goes out the door. Let that image fade. And imagine and bring yourself back to the room where you are. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Well, that's Take a Break, Take a Breath for Wednesday, February 3rd. If you have feedback for me or want to talk or pray with me, give me well, you can't give me a call these days. Send me an email and I'll make arrangements to talk with you real soon.